Welcome. I'm Alice Alicia Jones, and this is another one of my Living Consciously videos. I welcome you, and I will continue the subject of energy distortions. I covered a normal amount of them, but a partial list, and I'd like to cover some more that I've had from my own experience. These I usually talk about things I have experienced myself. So, because of the fact that that's what I feel comfortable with. And I'm just very, very grateful that you're here, whether you're here for the live session or whether you come in after. I'm just very, very grateful for all of you being here. Um, Energy distortions, other forms. This is something that just happened to me over the week. This past week, a young gal came to me and was quietly distressed. That's the only way I'm going to describe her emotions. That she was keeping them under control, but she felt that every single person that she attracted into her life from a romantic angle did her in, and she couldn't understand why. So I asked her, can I look at your heart energetically? And of course, she gave me permission to look at her heart. And what I saw was a beautiful looking heart. I see things symbolically. So it was like in the form of white satin. It was absolutely exquisite. However, around the heart was a gate, not horribly tall, but about, I'm going to say, in the neighborhood of 6 to 8 inches tall, that was protecting her heart. Around the outside of the gate was barbed wire. And when I looked closer at her heart, what I saw was all of these needles, pins sticking out, very, very sharp points, so that anybody coming at her would have been hurt by something. And so that clued me in that she was protecting her heart and protecting it with a whole series of devices that was attracting the same type of individual. Like attracts like. We are magnetic beings. We are like a boomerang. What we send out, we get back. And you have to remember that if you want a romantic relationship that covets you, is the right person for you, is kind and generous to you, is loving and giving, you have to have those same qualities to, you have to effectively give out those same qualities to others. You're not going to attract what you don't already own. And she didn't even know that she was doing this. But as we talked about what it was that she was, or why it was that she was attracting this, then all the issues came out for why she felt the need to protect her heart, the type of issues that she grew up with, the type of experiences that she had that made her reject herself, feel bad about herself. Um, so many of us have grown up with narcissistic parents, or somehow or other, even if they weren't narcissistic, what for whatever reason, we may have attracted a narcissistic spouse. So you really, 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 really have to remember you cannot receive what you do not send out. And that is critical. So, piercing wires, barbed wire, piercing wires, um, red or black energy masses. This is phenomenal when you stop to think that your energy field is a very bright colored field. Your auric field contains white gold, white light, um, blue, red, orange, yellow, green, sparkly, shimmery colors. But personally, I feel that within 20 years, we're all going to have the ability to see the reality of what other people's auric fields, the colors that they're holding. And if they're coming out into the open with red streaming from their auric field, but streaming out in kind of angry tentacles, or black or gray masses, that shows various types of anger. And that anger is something that is going to be visible. So if you look in the mirror and you see this coming out of you, are you going to be willing to go into the public arena with that, knowing that everybody can see this? I feel that maybe I'm too optimistic. Maybe 20 years is too soon. But as people develop their spiritual skills, and seeing the aura is one of those skills. One of my meditations in the future is going to be a method on how to see the aura, because I'm leading towards that. But the if you see that from other people, are you going to, and you see that emanating from yourself, are you going to want to be in public? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe people will say, well, I want people to be afraid of me. Well, that's what you want. That's what you want. But I somehow or other think not. And I think that when we have the spiritual sight to visibly see somebody else's auric field and to be able to identify what's going on with them, um, then it's just going to be, you know, a blessing to all of us. Another type of anger is the very quiet, subversive anger. This can be exhibited by you coming in, talking to somebody, saying something, and then getting no reaction from that person, but he breaks a pencil as you are talking to him. And if that happens, are you going to continue talking or are you going to back away? Are you even going to want to engage with that person or just say it's not worth it? Especially when you have a parent who does not reveal their emotion to you, doesn't, might just sit there quietly seething about something, and you just don't know what that seething is about. This is part of family secrets. I know if you grew up in a household with family secrets, you do not have the ability to distinguish problems correctly because you have never had the push and pull of somebody else's opinion. You just have a quiet, seething, the word I'm getting is monster in front of you. And so your first ability to problem solve is through your parenting. And if your parent carries that seething anger, that's not going to teach you any amount of problem solving. What about the subversive or sneaky anger? What about when people say things to you, but they say, "Oh, I'm just kidding." And they expect you to be okay with that. Or they say something like, "Well, throw out 75% of what I say and keep 25%." How are you supposed to figure out what 25% to keep versus what 75% to throw out from the mean things that they have said to you? Sneaky, subversive. And narcissists, especially, oh my God, they love that technique. They are just masters at sneaky and subversive. What about explosive anger? Explosive anger, is that easier to deal with? Most people run from it. Most people don't want to be in the presence of explosive anger. Most people literally draw in their chakras as a form of protection when it comes to explosive anger. And so we do not again learn the right coping strategy when we pull in our chakras. All we learn is to protect ourselves because that we don't want to be subjected to those loud, nasty voices, to those loud, um, ugly remarks. We just don't want it. We don't want to hear it. The next type of another form of energy distortion is a reversal of the subtle bodies. Your chakras, if you're right handed, go in a clockwise manner. If you're left handed, and of course, you're going to see this on the stage as you watch me opposite. But if you're left handed, they're going to go in a counterclockwise manner. When people lie to you, their chakras reverse. And in that reversal, they you feel it. It's like rubbing your hand against the nap of a carpet. It's like you taking and if you go with the nap, it feels silky smooth. If you go against the nap, it's prickly. That's what it feels like to you. That's why you know someone is lying to you, even if they absolutely 100% vehemently express that they're telling the truth and this is the truth, unless you're of the same ilk. If this is the same, if you do the same, if you yourself have made a habit of just lying about everything because you cannot tolerate the truth, you cannot accept it, then that reversal might feel normal. And I think that's one of the situations that we're going through in the United States today because there's so much lying out there. And for many people, that's the truth. So, anyway, um, that's called reversal of subtle body. There's another type of distortion, and I call it a lasso. It's where somebody takes part of their energy and they literally, it's like lassoing a calf in or a horse. And where that shows up is when you feel, you understand, you sense, you think you're being manipulated. And you are, because that lasso binds you. And it's that manipulation is usually for to get you to do something that is against your free will, something that you're being cajoled to do, something that you're being you might be threatened to do, something that you're being ladled with guilt or shame or blame. That lasso. And so, how that hits you first is a really wrenching feeling in the pit of your stomach, your third chakra. You're not allowed to be who you are. So, pay attention to that every time somebody tries to manipulate you. See if you can't energetically feel a lasso going around you. Um, the next is schizophrenic distortions. The one time that I had schizophrenic, uh, that I did a healing on a schizophrenic person, as I had my hands on the schizophrenic person and I was just helping release energy from this gentleman, and I've mentioned this before, I felt squigglies going through my hands and out the top of my palms. And when I thought about it, I thought, if I didn't know better, I would call that a three-headed snake. And that's exactly what it is. It's an energy form that the schizophrenic, because his version of or her version of reality is so far removed from the version of reality that we function in, that those are just, I think, part of the manipulation of the energy field, or I should say not the manipulation but the distortion in the energy field. So just again, know that that's possible. Tears, funnels and drains. Tears, funnels and drains. Again, individual healing. There have been times where I have looked at the individual energy field and found a tear through it. And that comes from extreme sorrow. That comes from especially a child being bullied or being belittled or having a sense that it is not wanted, having a sense that its life is being torn apart. Children of divorce, sometimes. Sometimes children of divorce will absolutely be happy and feel that the parents individually are better than the parents as a couple. And they'll be okay with that. But other times, no. So they might cause a tear in their energy field. Drains is something totally different. A drain is similar to like a faucet being turned on. And again, what triggers that faucet to turn on and the energy to leave you is an overwhelming feeling that you're not in control. And especially if you're a child who is being bullied, you're not in control. And it doesn't matter how subtle that bullying is or how overt that bullying is. The bullying can be very, very subtle, but the child still feels like they're not in control. Could be an adult at work that has a boss that is absolutely outrageous, or a fellow worker that is outrageous and does things or knows how to do things to manipulate the management. My husband once said that he once had a boss who knew nothing about the department but wrote great memos. So he kept being promoted. And I laughed at that because I thought, wow, didn't know a thing about what they were doing. And my husband was a systems analyst at MCI at the time. And but he knew how to write great memos. And then MCI was bought out by Verizon, and uh, he retired from Verizon. But anyway, just be aware of the fact that you can have people, you can react to people by just literally opening up a part of your energy field and just having it drain out of you. And then the last part of that section was the uh, funnels, and a funnel too is different than a drain. A funnel is exactly the opposite. A funnel is what the shape of your chakras are. So therefore, your chakras should be and have an ability to spin um, correctly. But with a funnel, you absorb somebody else's words as gospel truth, regardless of whether they are or not. This is very, very common in people who are caught, trapped in fundamentalist religions, especially in cults, because there's a lot of attention being given to those who have escaped cults, or and as to the reality of their situation. Those funnels, in some people, it's like where you just accept their words as gospel truth rather than your own feelings or whatever it is. You just blatantly accept what is given to you. So that's a funnel. Um, Chords, holes, black bands. Chords. I'm going to do a whole separate session on chords. So I'm not going to cover that right now. Psychic hooks I've already covered. Big gapes or holes. Um, does that big gapes or holes in your big gapes, gaps, um, cannot seem to bring forward an example right this second. And I know we're running over time. So I'm going to probably leave that for later. But the last one I just want to cover is black bands. If anybody is rigid in their thinking and doesn't want to allow any exceptions to their rules, think of members of opposite sides of political powers, parties, or opposite sides of the religious beliefs. They are 100% convinced that theirs is the only way. When you look at their energy field, it actually has a black band around it, top, bottom, side to side. So, anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed this. I bring you um, many opportunities to hear my uh, videos because I do it once a week. I know I've been guided to do it more often, but at this moment, once a week works for me. If you need a meditation book, Own Your Power Day by Day is the best on the market. It's $20. Shipping and handling is included. That's a hardcover. And I just wanted to share with you the beautiful inner book that has it's in a navy with gold lettering, and every word was guided by spirit, every single word. If you want to know more about the classes I teach, go to my website, Alicia, ALICJA Jones.com. And if you forget that, if you forget how to spell it, just go Alice Jones Psychic. It'll take you to the same place. So, anyway, I thank you again for being here. I hope that in me sharing these things, I am increasing your awareness. That's my goal of what is happening to you under certain circumstances. Next week, I will cover the chords and the holes and gaps, and then the following week, I will give you what do I do about it? How do I protect myself from these? That was one of the questions in my in the feed that the comments that I read is what do I do about it? How do I protect myself? And I'm absolutely going to cover that. But again, that takes a whole session, so or two. So I thank you for being here, and I will see you next week.